Good morning, everyone. So right now I'm looking at this sweep. I don't like how we've trended lower all night. Usually whenever we trend lower like this all night long, it usually leads to inefficient price action. Yeah. Just mark out a few things. Alright. I gotta screenshot this. No, bro. Alright, so right now I'm looking at a potential sweep to get me into a trade. We swept this little right here. And while this is clean price run, we have a nice sweep post 930. I don't know if it'll give me any displacement higher. And it might not. If it does, it's nice, but it might not because of how we've trended lower, really since London. And we're super overextended. So it's kind of clear that like maybe Asia accumulated a little bit, but with how much we've displaced, we displaced during London beneath Asia and then pulled back still within London, but then continued to show heavy displacement lower throughout all of New York past previous day low. So now we're kind of like in a very large sell-off. And I asked myself, what are the odds that the distribution has already occurred? And I'm pretty sure they're very high because of how far lower we've trended. So honestly, I don't know if I really even want to look for any trades today. It might be a very quick day because I think this was a short red at 9:30. It's just not within my rules. What I was hoping to happen would have been price gives a pullback and maybe seeks some sort of higher time frame fair value gap on the 15-minute chart, like maybe this one right here or that high right there, or maybe this one right there, and then maybe midnight it was all the way up here, so we wouldn't be able to short anyway. But sometimes that will occur where it'll be overextended in the morning and it's going to pull back into the day's range before continuing. Good morning, Omar. I'm probably going to end the stream really soon because I really don't think a trade is going to be there. And I'd rather, it's my mom's birthday today, so I'd rather go spend some time with my mom than sit here. I just wanted to see the first few minutes of open. But when we formed this gap and we started shooting it lower, I don't really see it going higher much. I think now we're probably just going to consolidate. So even though we have that clean sweep, and this is what I was telling you, Omar, about when you're qualifying your sweeps, I want to look, when I'm qualifying my sweeps at least, I want to look for sweeps that look like this with large bodies. If you measure from low to high of the candle, that body covers more than half of it, versus you had used a sweep like this one right here, where you see the bodies do not represent more than half the candle, and it's very inefficient. I had used this sweep. It was a nice beefy candle, and I risked $120 on it, which is a tenth of my risk, I realized now that wasn't a clean sweep. The bodies didn't close beneath that low, so that's not even a. There was a lot of factors that made it high risk, and I said time and time again, don't take that trade. Like I wouldn't take that trade with full risk. I wouldn't take that trade on my live. But then I still took it, and it wasn't even. I took it with a tenth of the risk, but it wasn't even part of the rules. It was only a challenge though, so I didn't really care. But now, this is just not looking like high probability. So I really just want to see how far we go before we start to consolidate, and then that's it. That'll be a quick stream today. Weekly immediate rebalance if we keep shifting through pre-market lows. Oh, that's true. I'd want to see it. Yeah, it could definitely come down to that previous week close. Maybe even today. Give it a nice down week, let it breathe a little bit before continuing higher. So I wonder what's going on with the dollar though. The dollar is rallying a little bit. I hope it's not like this rally where we rally a little bit and then we get into some bullshit and we go sideways. Gold is being gold. The Dow and S&P are both lower. That's good. The other thing I want to look at is the news. I think we have GDP this morning. Oh wow, it grew a lot faster. That's actually, oh okay. Doesn't that mean inflation? I don't know. Is that good for inflation? The existing home sales is high impact sometimes, so there's still more high impact news today. Hopefully tomorrow will yield something good. But I'm gonna log my first model I took this morning, and then I'll end the stream. Oh, I gotta get my I just gotta mark that out. Ew. Alright, what I said here is on this trade, I took this trade because it's part of my rules for my Model 1, the one I trade on my live, but we're beneath 8:30 in midnight, and I knew looking at the range I didn't really like it, and at most what we can get is a pullback. So sometimes we'll pull back and then it might come close to TP and then go lower. Sometimes it'll hit TP and then go lower. But I was hoping for at least a pullback. We did not get a pullback though, and I'm not shooken by it. It is what it is. These losses will happen. The only thing about this rule, I don't like to take trades when we trend like this, because as you can see, there's no room for manipulation in AMD, right? This is not AMD at all. Whenever you see price trending like this overnight, it's usually significant. It's not. There's no accumulation. There's no built-up orders. You're not going to see clean accumulation, manipulation, distribution, right? But I still took it because it's just hard to make that into a mechanical rule. Like, it's really hard for me to, if I were to show this model to somebody else, they would have to follow it by the letter. That's what I'm hoping to achieve with this model, is I want something that I can give to a child. He doesn't need to know anything about trading, just how to use TradingView and how to enter in and out of a position, and then there you go, they can make money with it. And when you have a rule like that where if overnight is only trending, sometimes it's hard to really qualify if that's the case or not. Yeah. But I'm still gonna, if we're seeing displacement, so now we had the clean sweep, I'm gonna take this trade, but with less risk, because the dollar is going up. Indexes seem to be in line. So if we get like an inverse here, I'm gonna take it, but with like a third of my risk, or maybe like half my risk, or probably just normal risk, not like full risk, but that's like half of my full risk. So about like $400 I'm gonna risk on this if we get an inverse, because it's still my model, right? And my RR is so big that if when conditions are perfect, I know they'll be eventually. Like, I make like 3,000 on that trade, risking 400. That's still like a 6 RR, like over 6. How much is that? It's almost 8 RR. So I don't mind that, because within the next 8 trades I'm gonna have one of those where it's clean. But for if I was a beginner trader, at least, and risking less on each position, I wouldn't take this at all. But because I'm comfortable risking more on positions I have more conviction in, it's different. I can start risking less on positions that aren't highly convicted. I'm not highly convicted in. But this is still just my model, so I'm gonna take it either way. Just know that I don't have, if it loses to me, it is what it is. So I'm ready for it to lose. I think I'm not saying like, oh yeah, this has to win, so I'm not risking the most money. There's a reason I'm not going to risk as much money. It's because it's lower probability. So if you take this trade and I'm streaming and you see me take it, just know that it's very possible for it to lose, and yeah, be ready for that. Alright, I entered right at the eye of the gap. on my top step. It's so cold. Dang. I had to warm you up. Hopefully this trade warms you up. This heat I'm giving y'all. Well, I'm not gonna put my stuff there. I'll move it up a little bit. And I'm going for, well, should be here still. Minimum 3R. Right at this high. I moved it up because it's ran a little bit, and I just want to risk 300, but my stop should be at the low. So I'm gonna, where's the box? There you go. 5-minute short-term low. And where's that take profit? Bring it down here. Oh, it's still 1.2, 1.3K. It's still good money. That means if this works out, I'll be $2,000 away from passing. Well, nice. Nolani entered it too. How much are you risking? Like, where's your stop in TP? How much are you risking? You usually risk, I think, like 500. No, well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know how much you risk. I think it's 200 a trade. You just added more money to your account though, so you shouldn't be risking one. I think risking 1% on this trade though would be, because I know you're trading your life. I think if you risk 1% though, it would be too little. Like usually my max risk, I'll risk 5%. If I have lower conviction, I'll risk 2 to 3%. If it's heavily against me, I'll never take it unless it's a challenge. Then I'll risk it. I'll be like, fuck it, and I'll take it a small amount, like I did on Tuesday. I'll be like, I'll do 1% then, or even 0.5%. But usually I'm taking most of my trades with 2 to 3%, and then some of the times everything's lining up perfectly. Like 3 times a month, there's gonna be those perfect trades, and some of them will still lose, but I'll risk 5% on those. Most, like 75%, 80% of those are gonna win. So on my live, I got to a point where I was only taking those trades, the high conviction trades that had a 80% win rate. Oh no. yeah, sorry. You said you were gonna take on top step. No, I got confused for a second. So you're good. Yeah, that's right. You're taking on top step. But this would be a trade that I'd take. I would have taken this on my live, but just not with max risk because of the overnight trend. This is like standard risk what I'm risking here. I guess if you were to grade trades from A, B, C, this would be like a B plus trade or something. A B trade. The only thing that's stopping me from making an ape trade, a perfect trade, is discretion. Really, I just kind of tell that this is probably not going to work out. Like the way we extended all overnight, It's just unlikely, more likely to consolidate, and maybe we'll get like a retracement. That's what I'm hoping for, a retracement. Especially because we have 10 o'clock news. It doesn't have to happen right now, though. It doesn't have to happen at all. So that's why I know, because of my expertise in analyzing, I know that this is less likely to work out. So that's why I'm not risking like the double, like doubling down in poker. No, we've been very bearish all morning, so we pulled back into some 5-minute gap. This could be a good short here if you're trading silver bullet. You're trading with the momentum here, and this could be somebody's model they're going short right now. $100 micros is crazy. What the hell? You mean lots? 100 lots. I saw my viewer count jumped to 4. Just explaining what's happening here. I'm taking this trade with like my max risk is 1,000, so I'm taking it with about a third of that, a third of the risk. Well, the stop should be down here, so it's about a 2/5 of the risk. But yeah, but basically the reason I'm not taking it with full risk is because I don't know if it, like, I'm not super convicted this is gonna work out. The reason is because of the trend overnight. Usually whenever I have a trend like this and we're just trending all overnight, I used to never trade, but then sometimes you can get a pullback and you can still get a winner, so it's still worth the trade these days. It's just you're gonna have most of the trades when you take on these days where we have overnight trends are gonna lose, so that's why I just don't risk as much, because I'm prepared, and I keep it from when it's really nice, when I trade the most, Yeah, Nolani's still hovering. She got close to getting funded. She was one trade away, and then she took the model lost. She's not doing anything wrong. It's just the way the rules are. And then that model, she's now trading it on the live. It's using Top Step for my signals. But you didn't take it with 100 micros though. Yeah. The thing about this model, the one we're trading, where you buy beneath 9:30, 8:30 and midnight at 9:30, is that since it's like 30-40% win rate, it's just hard to. You gotta get lucky almost to pass an account with that. Unless you want to risk a small amount, you leave yourself enough room to take 10-12 losses in a row, but then it would take forever just to pass a challenge, and then because you gotta treat it like you really only have what you have to lose. So if Top Step says you can only lose like $3,000, you have to treat it that way. You have to say, oh, I only have $3,000. So then imagine she risks 1%, like that's a very small amount, and it's just pointless to do that on a funded account. Yeah, we've inversed the gap, so now I'm really expecting you to lose. Like I said, this is probably somebody's model to go short here, momentum trade. So I'm not like pressed that it's losing. If anything, I kind of anticipating it. So I'm happy I didn't risk my full amount. And there you go, I lost. And yeah, if anyone's gonna watch my data collection video, this wouldn't be, well, this would be a trade I'd log, because it is still, like I said, the range overnight that we left. The reason why I still log these trades and I don't have it as a rule where, okay, I'm not gonna, I still consider it like a B trade, is because sometimes it will retrace, and it's just really hard to come up with a rule that's mechanical and is gonna allow me to avoid trading in these environments. Like this is discretionary. When I wake up and I see a trend lower all day, it's hard to, from sometimes we do trend, but I know with how the Asia and London look, maybe there was more volatility, and I can tell that trend is just it's not really like a inefficiency sort of trend where we're just displacing somewhere. It's more like a I don't know, it could be only the start of a move. But getting up today, I can tell obviously by 9:30 that we've already displaced. We don't have AMD at all. We're more likely to continue or consolidate, maybe pull back. And I was hoping for a pullback. We didn't get it. So it is what it is. But yeah, I hope anybody that took this trade, again, hopefully you did not take it with max risk. I've said it time and time again, I'm only taking this with a third of my risk. This is low probability, and I'm only going to log it because I can't really come up with a rule that's mechanical to avoid me getting into these trades. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Waiting for a market structure shift. Yeah, because I don't like doing that. As you saw, I'm often trying to pick the lows and tops with this model. But yeah, you're right. I could do that. It's just that then, like, it would make my rules more complicated. So instead, I just risk less money. That way, you might wait and demand a market structure shift, but I just feel like if I were to do that, I used to do things like that. It makes it harder when I try and demand something and it doesn't happen. It makes me more frustrated with the charts, rather than me just risking less. I'm accepting that it probably will lose, and I'm okay with that fact. But at least I'm still getting some action, Even if it lost, I still got some action. And I'll take a trade like this the day's going to look exactly like this eventually, and it'll win and make up for the losses. But because it's not as profitable as the other trades, I don't risk as much. Now, my stop should have been down here though, so if this, I just moved it up because I didn't think it would come all the way down here and then work out. But if this works out, it is what it is. It's gonna suck. And if anything, it could just consolidate too, just like we did the previous days. After we've dropped, we consolidated a little bit and continued to drop, but here we dropped, consolidated, dropped, consolidated. So I'm expecting something like that right now to consolidate. There's just 10 o'clock news though, so I think now we've had that 10 o'clock news come out, and if we don't get pushed higher and we don't continue to go higher here like quickly, then I'll expect that consolidation, sideways price action, and there'll be nothing else for me to do on the charts today. Nice. So this is the account so far. We got this wasn't even a good sweep, to be honest. I realized that after the fact, but the bodies hadn't even closed beneath. Wait, no, they had. Yeah, I can see they did. Yeah, the bodies did close beneath that closed candle, so now we're good. This morning I was looking at it, it didn't look like that though. So let me screenshot. If this wins, I swear it's gonna suck. Damn. I might have gotten cucked. I should have just kept my stop here. It was $400 risk right there. But then I'm like, nah, 300's a nice number on me. Dang. I got hunted by the market makers today. Nolani, did you get stopped yet? Or did you have your stop down there? No, we're not doing that. We're not revenge trading. Dang. Yeah. Oh well, it is what it is. But this is also why I stream, because now what I want to do when it's done processing, and probably later tonight, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at what I was saying and thinking before entering, and why I moved my stop up. What was the reasoning? What did I say? What was I thinking? You know, instead of being hard on myself and revenge trading, I'm going to go back and look at the stream, because I should have had it down here, but I don't like having 50-point stops. So at worst, I could have just asked for a lower entry. Maybe like that inverse gap instead. But then I might risk missing out on the trade. Since these nice trades don't occur too often, I didn't want to. I do remember saying this should be standard risk. I usually risk $400 or $500 a trade. I do remember saying that, and I should have just stuck that. But I just want to see what reasoning I had to move my stop up. Exactly what I said and what my body was saying too, which is why I stream. So, I mean, maybe this is what I get for trading on my mom's birthday. Should have spent time with her instead. It's a message. Nah, I'm just kidding. There's trades like these, by the way, that will make all the difference when you journal. Like if I were taking this and the way I got stopped, and I could be hard on myself and say, oh, like your stop should be at the most recent low, like you messed up, blah blah blah. Does price usually come down this far and close beneath the gap? No. Like I would, it usually doesn't come down this far, but we were shot down quite a lot overnight, so it is pretty inefficient. And I don't know, it retraced deeper than it normally does, and it is what it is. But when I journal, I can't be hard on myself and say I fucked up. I ought to be easy on myself and encourage myself. Speak to myself in a kind way, an encouraging way. And maybe I could say something like, this trade is a reminder of how I don't. Maybe what I could say is I was a bit greedy, and I didn't think it would come down there, so I moved my stop up. And while this most of the time is gonna work out, today it didn't, and I missed out on this much money. This is a reminder of that I should always follow my stop and take profit rules. Something like that. The news was new home sales at 10 o'clock. That's why we had that little spike there. Now this trade is probably gonna win. I don't know. It might get up above this short-term high and then maybe pull back, but with how these candles are looking so far, it looks like we're at least gonna try and seek some discount on the hourly chart. Maybe, like, yeah, I could definitely see it run into that gap, seek that gap. And you know, at the end of the day, if anything, it's just a losing week. You know, I haven't had too many of those this year, so it's okay. Tomorrow could be a win though. Probably not, because I think this was one of the trades that one of the 3 trades that will show up in a month. So we've already had 2 of those this month, and I think there's good news next week. Probably gonna show up next week, the next time I get a good trade. And when I say good trade, I don't mean the trades I risk, like my full maximum risk. I just mean like a standard risk, like, oh, this is a pretty good trade to take. Yeah, we have a lot of news tomorrow, or next week. I'll probably try and stream every day I can, except Monday. Or maybe Thursday I won't stream. Nice, let's see how we react to these highs, if we're gonna push through them. Dang, I just had to keep my stop where it was. Alright, so I'm gonna just end the stream here because I just don't really want to stay. And I mean, I don't know if the trade will work out or not, but I'm just gonna let it run and I'll look back at it, the next day. But yeah, I definitely still happy I streamed. I'm happy I took this trade, even if it's still lost. It is a reminder at least that I know how to look for the model, and as long as I continue trading the model the way I trade it, it's going to work out in the long run overall. So, you know, if anything, it's okay. And we'll see everybody later. Yeah, definitely will, Theo. Thank you. And I hope everybody else has a good day too.